Hello and welcome back to Dev Diary number 9, Economy and Production for Cities Skylines 2. So today we have quite an exciting theme here and for most very complex as well. But what I like about this is that things can be very simple if you don't want to dig down into every single detail. But before we get into more details about this, let's get into the video and take a look at what they have to say.
They say money makes the world go round. It's as true in Cities Skylines too as it is in our world. Keep your city spinning by steering its economy on a course to prosperity. Your city's economic simulation is modeled on real-world economics. This introduces complexity and nuance to city building without making it complicated.
I love these overlays, by the way. They look great and they are not, although they are very white, still there's a lot of gray on it, so it doesn't make you blind. And I think they chose the right colors this time around. It's still a little bit too bright, but not as much as Cities Skylines 1. Let's tell the truth.
The economic system in Cities Skylines.
Then we have the budget tab over there. And what you can see in there is that you have taxes, services, service trade, government subsidies, and that's for expenses actually, service upkeeps, service trade, loan interest, and the monthly balance. And on the left side here, you have just a quick glance about, so you can see if you're getting more money or spending more money. It's just a nice way to have a graph about that. And what you can do, we'll see that a little bit later, but every time you hover through one of these items, you have a lot more details on this right part of the screen. And I just love how much information you have and everything that you can see in there.
This too is actually engineered to help you grow your new city.
So again, as I mentioned, there is a lot of information in here and that will help a lot of people to learn a bit more about the game. Anyone that played Cities Skylines 1 and anyone that's new, even for the city building era, can look at this and learn quite a lot and understand how these apply. And as you can see in here, you have these arrow options, which will allow you to change the tax rate per type of residential. Or residential is actually taxing the education level of the citizens. And then like industrial type of industry and so on.
And as it develops, to give you influence over the financial levers that generate wealth. You'll raise revenue by taxing the sale of goods and services.
There we go. You can see expanding industrial. You have all the industrial options there. Convenience food, furniture, grain, paper, timber, vegetables, vehicles, electronics. Each one of these can have their own taxation. And the good thing about this is that you can just set the tax rate for everyone and you don't need to care about being micromanaging everything. That's okay. But if you want to, for example, have a more specialized industry, so let's say paper, you could lower the tax rate for paper and more industries of that specific type would be attracted to your city. Maybe creating a specialized industry, what's that called? Specialized city industry or something like that. I don't remember exactly how that's called, but this helps you manage these things. And if you have one that might be making a lot of money and exporting a lot, exporting actually gets you from time in longer periods of time to lose money. So you could raise tax for that specific industry and with that bring the production down a little bit. And then what they sell would be more focused on the city itself and not outside connections.
Energy production, the extraction of raw materials, tourism, and more. You'll also tax private incomes, as healthy economic activity will...
Just one small thing that I think it's really nice in the game is that the logo for the companies, they will just show up when the company moves in. Otherwise, they will be a vacancy logo or message, and this changes depending on the company that is occupying the building. I really like that, and I think that will open some opportunities for new mods to create their own logos and put something that you actually like in there.
Mean jobs for citizens. With money in your city's coffers, you can invest in city services and infrastructure, schools and universities, and all the other engines of urban development. An important aspect of economic growth is balancing supply and demand. Businesses will do this automatically, exporting their goods when they produce more than the market wants. However, this can hit their bottom line as transport costs can reduce profitability.
It seems like transport costs might be the major issue with industry. So if they are exporting too much and they can't sell that internally in the city, that might be a problem. So it's something that we'll have to keep an eye on. But that they say everywhere, and in the dev diary documents that they released with the video, plus in previous dev diaries, they also said that the cost for transportation is quite high, especially if you are sending or exporting goods for other cities. So if you can keep everything in your city, that's the ideal. Again, you can just not care about that and build your city, or you could micromanage things a little bit more and get that all sorted. But now I want you to look at this truck and this car and you see something magic.
To keep the rate of production in line with demand, businesses will even fire employees. On the flip side, when products aren't made fast enough to meet local demand, companies in your city will be forced to buy from expensive outside connections, and that can quickly eat into profits too.
I think we've seen these before, but this has almost, not all, but almost all items we have in the city. So from convenience food to machinery and steel. So these, I love these graphs, by the way. I think they are a lot clearer about what's happening. I love that they are also sorted by the biggest number to the lowest number that help us just find the information that we want. But yeah, I really like it. You also have coal, machinery, software, media, telecom, financial. By the way, telecom, media, software, they are all goods produced by the offices, and most of them don't even require a truck to send them outside. What that means is that they can sell things via, for example, the internet, and that reduces their costs quite a lot.
Taxes can also influence the production rate of specific goods.
Now we are on taxation again, and I think we've seen this screen before, so I'll just keep going.
You can slow the rate of production by raising taxes, lower taxes to accelerate production rates and lure similar manufacturers to your city. It's also possible to motivate businesses to specialize in ways that strengthen the economy. Imagine reducing taxes for furniture stores and the various industries that manufacture their products. That will make them more profitable. More businesses specializing in the design and manufacture of furniture will crop up.
City specialization, that's the name of when you have a lot of industry of the same type. There you go, and then you get a bonus from that as well.
Before you know it, your city will have a flourishing furniture trade and a reputation that keeps cash flowing in. Managing and adjusting production chains is another way you can influence your city's economy. Overhauled in Cities Skylines too, this adds a whole
Something really worth mentioning in here is that, as you can see, all these vehicles inside the building area in here, they are actually spawned in the area, and what they do, they basically, for example, this is a oil drilling area, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe this one as well, 6. And what this truck is actually doing, it's going to those buildings, collecting the oil and bringing it back to the main building, and the main building will actually sell it. So it's quite a nicer mechanic than before, and those vehicles, they actually have a function.
new dimension to city building. There's no need to micromanage every detail if you don't want to.
This is also really interesting. It's one of those things, this production tab is one of those things that if you want to dig a lot deeper into your production chain and what you're producing, what's your surplus, what you need in the city, and you are actually importing, you can get in here, understand that a lot better, and start changing the industry in your city to just adapt to that. So you can change that with new buildings, new extraction buildings, with taxation, or the location where your zone also impacts on that. But it's quite nice because you can see what it needs, and here you can see exactly how you can get coal. For example, you can mine or you can import, and what you can do with coal. You can produce electricity, you can process into whatever that is, and you can also export that. This teaches you how to create your production chain. And at a glance, you can see that you are producing and you have a quite like half of your production is a surplus. So you could increase taxes, or you could decrease taxes for buildings that consume coal, and in that way you could balance things out.
But if you love a puzzle, there's almost no limit to how deep you can go. Starting from raw material extraction, you can get raw materials into the city by importing them or producing them locally. Opt for local production, and you'll need to establish a specialized industry area. There are 9 total. 4 are farms where you can raise livestock or grow either grain, vegetables, or cotton. Forests produce timber, though how much depends on the age of the forest. You can extract ore, stone, or coal from underground deposits. And lastly, you can drill for oil.
Just one very important note in here: the only finite, I don't know exactly how is the best way to say it, resource that you have in the city are ore and oil. And by ore, I mean coal and stone are types of ore. So they are finite resource, and they won't come back. So similar mechanic to Cities Skylines 1, but I really, really wish that these resources last longer, because in Cities Skylines 1, they were just gone like this very, very fast.
And lastly, you can drill for oil. You'll manage all this activity via the economy panel. It puts your city's finance.
This is what I mentioned before about having more information about what's going on. So from taxes, you can see what is residential, commercial, industrial, and office. And services, you'll be able to see service type, service trade. You can also see where that's coming from.
Land and allows you to monitor and adjust production outputs for various goods and materials. With integrated tools and clear displays,
Just a quick glance at loans as well. There is a difference in here. You don't have 3 loans anymore. You just have 1. You can, even after you accept it, you can increase or decrease by repaying some amount of money. And the limit for the loan depends on the milestone that you have reached in the city. So, and then you pay interest on your monthly income based on the amount of loan that you have.
Economy panel is a user-friendly way to manage and grow your economy. So, if money really does make the world turn, how will you grow your city's economy so everyone in it can enjoy the ride?
There are a few more things that I would love to talk about. For example, money it isn't something that just appear out of the blue in the game. Well, it does, right? But not in a way that it just like keeps showing up and there is no source for that. So the way they've done this in Cities Skylines 2 is to actually try to replicate real world economics into the simulation. So basically, rents, import payments, company profits, and player income are all money sinks that remove money from the economic simulation. To balance that out, the simulation also have money source, and those sources are paid rents and company profits, and also the funds used by the player, for example, by building stuff, which are then distributed so that half of them go to the citizens based on their education level, and half are evenly distributed to the commercial buildings wealth as well. Some other money sources are export income from businesses and city services, tourists, and the government subsidies for the city and individual citizens. Talking about government subsidies, it's also relevant to say that when you start your city, you get some government money to help you offset the difficulties of starting a new city. And as you grow and as you progress, that government money just are going lower and lower until you don't have any anymore. So this just helps with new players joining city building in general and new cities basically to help them move ahead a little bit faster and not go bankrupt like as soon as you start a city, which was for people that didn't know the game before was a little bit hard for Cities Skylines 1. After you learn how to get money on Cities Skylines 1, it's quite easy and you don't have issues anymore. But it's something that changed and it's quite nice to have that. Also important that households also want to reside close enough to workplace so that their pathfinding cost to work is low. So what that basically means that workplace pathfinding considers the education level of the available jobs and gives a small bonus to jobs that match the employee's education level. And if they are closer, the better because they don't have to pay for public transportation, for example, or use a car. Companies with fewer employees are preferred over companies with only a few open jobs in terms of citizens trying to find a job, because that will ensure somewhat even distribution of workers throughout the city. And the same also applies for leisure options and shopping. Talk about shopping, households go shopping when the AI detects that it lacks some resource. It then checks the household members, I should say, and their product preference and chooses a product based on the preference weight. Once the product type has been selected, it picks one of the household members who then travels to a shop selling the desired product and make the purchase. Once the purchase has been made, the product is transmitted to the household's resource. So quite interesting mechanics that the AI is also looking for which types of products are available in the households and then select someone in that household to go and buy that. In terms of housing, the housing situation, if the household is very poor and unable to find a new apartment and lack funds to leave the city, they become homeless. We've seen that before. What we didn't know is that in this case, they can live in the city parks until their living situation changes. So they go and live in parks. That's where you see homeless people in your city. For industrial companies, transport cost is calculated by the distance and also the weight of the resource. For example, metals weigh more than textiles. And this has, again, an impact on the cost and profitability of the said industrial company. Cargo trains and ships have large capacities, which lowers the price of even the heaviest of the resource. So that's a very good option for a city. And one thing that I found interesting is that they say that air cargo can carry resource to and from anywhere with very little difference in transportation costs. So it's also a very good option for you, although they have lower capacity, but they are a much faster means of cargo transportation. In terms of commercial companies, they try to balance good connections to product manufacturers and customers, while they also react to demand for different products. For example, if a neighborhood doesn't have a grocery store and the customers have high transportation costs, time and money from the pathfinding calculation, for example, to reach the closest grocery store, the simulation marks the neighborhood's close surroundings as lucrative areas for grocery stores to appear. So if you see me building Cities Skylines 1, you see that I do like some residential neighborhoods and then I put some commercial buildings in some corners throughout the area, like local grocery stores. That would be a very efficient way to make a lot of money in Cities Skylines too. So I'm glad that it is like that because this is very realistic. It's like the only place usually these neighborhoods have very close by to the area. And usually like everyone there and someone living locally that owns the shop as well. So that's quite an interesting mechanic, which I think it's very realistic as well. For the office companies, I think I mentioned this, but they produce immaterial goods, and those goods are software, telecom, banking, and media. And again, this coming from their documents, the production chain is designed so that you do not I repeat, you do not have to micromanage the production chain. But if you do wish, you can really deep dive into all the intricacies of what makes the whole system. For all types of zones, each tax can be set between minus 10% and 30%. So negative tax means you're providing subsidies to the industry, residential, commercial, or whatever, and you are actually trying to bring more of that type of building. And obviously, 30% means that you don't want anyone in your city doing something like that, and it's very, very expensive. In terms of services, you can adjust the city service budget, as we've seen, and the range for that is 50% to 150%. And that will conclude today's dev diary of economy and production in Cities Skylines 2. We are getting very close to the launch of the game. We are on Dev Diary 9, we have 13 in total, so just 4 more and we are done. And then we have the game to play with and see how that all goes together and how we can build huge cities and or even smaller cities, but in a way that they are profitable, that they work, they look nice, and how we use all these tools in our benefit, basically. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to join our Discord server, the link is in the description. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye bye.